Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video, and today we are here with the Dolphins Steelers preview for this Week 15 matchup. It's a big game for the Miami Dolphins. Before we start, yes, I have my voice back. You know, Originally we didn't look at this game to be something with playoff implications after how the Dolphins started the season, but ever since that 1-6 start, they are 5-1 in the last 6 games, and they are 4-0 since firing general manager Chris Greer. And although the chances are slim, even if they win out, this team is looking to still keep winning and playing with grit and heart the rest of the way. So, that being said, let's get this underway. By the way, I know I didn't post a video about this. The next game, Bengals Dolphins, is gonna be a Sunday afternoon game now. It was originally supposed to be on primetime. They flexed it out in favor of the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots, being a huge playoff implication game for both teams. Hopefully the Patriots win, because we are gonna need their help on that end. So let's get this kicked off. Mike Tomlin's on the hot seat, and I feel like he's sort of joking when he said that he's been on the hot seat in his 19-year tenure in Pittsburgh, but he probably knows on a reality point that he is not very publicly viewed very well right now, but I still think Mike Tomlin is a great head coach, and this guy has done a lot for the franchise. So, if it is his last season, then man, that would be sad, but it's a great ending to a nearly 2-decade long run in Pittsburgh. But that being said, Mike McDaniel will get an up close look on Monday nights from Tomlin, in which the Pittsburgh Steelers have not lost a Monday Night Football game at home in 33 years, if I am not mistaken. 33, 34 years. Someone correct me on that in the chat or the comments, but it has been a long time. They are 14-1 since 2014 on Monday Night Football under Mike Tomlin. So this proves that it's going to be a tough game, a very tough game. But this is a game the Dolphins must win in order to shut down the narrative that they can't win against a good team in the cold weather on prime time. Just 2 weeks ago, the Steelers' season appeared on the verge of spinning out of control following a dismal home loss to Buffalo that dropped Pittsburgh into first-place tie with Baltimore atop the AFC North and led a portion of the fans who stuck around until the end to call for Tomlin's firing, which that led to chanting. All the Steelers did was respond by beating the Ravens on the road to take the division lead and offer a reminder that they are dangerous, even if they're rarely dominant, which we'll see about that today. While Tomlin's critics are quick to point out, the team hasn't won a playoff game in a long time. It is about to be actually a decade. No, it is actually 8 years since their last playoff win. It actually came against the Dolphins. Funny enough, Pittsburgh has also never bottomed out. Tomlin's next losing season will be his first, and as jagged as the Steelers have been over the last 3 months, they're also right where they're expected to be despite midseason funk, in which they have dropped 5 of 7 and have looked overmatched against quality or decent teams. So they are a little bit suspect to watch right now. It's been much the same in Miami this year anyway. The Dolphins appeared in disarray, following an ugly 2-7 start, and it led to general manager Chris Greer losing his job. McDaniel's job status seemed tenuous at best, and still may well be, but Miami has responded by a 4-0 run ever since Chris Greer's firing. That's right, they have not lost as of 5:04 p.m. in Eastern Central Time since Chris Greer's firing. We'll see how that shapes up today, but as of that moment, that's what it looks like. The Steelers and Dolphins pulled off a rare blockbuster trade during the summer doldrums in late June when Pittsburgh sent safety Minka Fitzpatrick to Miami in exchange for defensive back Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith. The move may have worked out for both sides. Ramsey has stabilized Pittsburgh's secondary after moving to safety following a season-ending injury to Deshaun Elliott, while for Miami, Fitzpatrick has thrived while bouncing between safety and slot corner. Not a lot I can say about Jonnu Smith this season because Jonnu Smith has been in the lower end of the depth chart, so he hasn't really gotten a lot of playing time. He's kind of just there for depth, obviously, but you know, that's why I'm only pointing out Ramsey right now. So Fitzpatrick, which in his typical understated fashion, downplayed the importance of seeing so many familiar faces on the other sideline. He's playing against his former team for the first time in his career. So this should be a fun matchup. Rodgers and Pittsburgh's passing game broke out of a month-long funk against the Ravens, stretching the field in a way they had been unable to for long stretches this season. The NFL's oldest, now second oldest, okay, yeah, we know, thanks to the return of Phillip Rivers. Shout out to him, by the way, because despite not playing in like 5 years, this guy had a hell of a game. So, but anyways, second oldest player unleashed a 53-yard strike to DK Metcalf on the first play in Baltimore and kept on firing his way to a season-high 284 yards. That is actually fucking insane. Wait, I may be reading this wrong. Pardon me. My statistics are wrong. Aaron Rodgers was the one with 284. I thought I said DK. I don't know why. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. My brain is not working right now. But Rodgers had a great game. So did DK. DK's having a pretty good season in his first year in Pittsburgh. He's been fine so far. The arrival of Adam Thielen in the promotion of Marcus Valdes-Scantling to the game day roster gave Rodgers experienced options opposite Metcalf, and Metcalf had by far his best game of the season, 147 yards on 7 receptions. Rodgers has been putting up numbers at age 42. The fact that Rivers was now doing that at 44, like that is dope, dude. That is some dope ass shit. I know that Aaron Rodgers hasn't had a 300-yard game yet this year. This guy is in the twilight of his career, so I'm not too surprised right now. Probably will not have that kind of game, for a very, very long time. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does at some point. Aaron Rodgers, I love Aaron Rodgers. I grew up watching him. He was part of my childhood. And now Phillip gets an opportunity to come back. That is so awesome, dude. A-Rod can still throw it. I think after what happened with Patrick Mahomes yesterday, this is actually a prediction. I feel like Rodgers is going to be the next quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs for a year. Because since Mahomes tore his ACL late in the year, I don't think he'll be back next season, at least not until the very end. So, either Kansas City tanks next year or they get Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how that plays out because I don't think A-Rod is going to be back in Pittsburgh again. I think he's going to go to a new team. So we'll see how that shapes out. So being given all of this, this is a very, very hard game to pick. Both teams, Steelers, they won against the Ravens. So, they have even if they lost this game, they would still be atop of the division. And, even if, let's say the Ravens lost to the Patriots next week and the Steelers lost to the Lions and Dolphins, the Steelers would still remain atop of the division. And, thinking theoretically, the Ravens win against the Packers and the Steelers win against the Browns, they have that game in Week 18 to determine the division. And that's what I see. That's what I predict is going to happen. Because usually, every year we kind of have a game like that. And I think this year, the game that will determine the division in the final week of the season will be Steelers versus Ravens. So, because of that, I'm going to take the Dolphins to win this football game. The Dolphins are red hot. This is by a coin flip, by the way, that I'm taking the Dolphins on. You know, Miami's eliminated if they lose tonight, but the Dolphins are 2.5 games back of the Texans for the number 7 seed in the AFC, and as slim as it is, they're technically still alive in the wild card chase. Kansas City was eliminated last night. They're gonna need to win out, and they're gonna need a whole lot of help from other teams along the way. Following the game against the Steelers, they will host the Bengals and the Bucks, and then travel to New England to take on the Patriots. Steelers obviously are still alive for a wild card spot as well, but they are looking to put away the division. But did you know the Dolphins are 5-1 in their last 6 games since dropping to 1-6 and looking like their season was done? I've said that a lot, but I'm gonna say it again. McDaniel has this team playing really well. They can run on anybody. And we've seen that, you can run on the Steelers. Look at what the Bills did a couple weeks ago. By the way, look at what Miami did against the Bills when they ran the ball. Look at what they did last week against the Commanders, against the Saints. This run game has been on fire. I know that Tua has not been great this season. I understand that. If anything, in this 4-game win streak, he has not been the reason. In fact, he has not been playing well. But I like the Dolphins' chances to pull off an upset here, considering that the Pittsburgh offense still isn't explosive enough to put an opponent away. I think Achane and the running back room will have a big game. I'm going to take the Dolphins to pull off an upset in Pittsburgh on Monday night, handing the Steelers their first loss on Monday Night Football at home in 33 years by a score of 22-20. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Oh my God, I can't speak. I'm going to get this video out as soon as possible, definitely before the game today. Got to rush this thing. So that being said, go Dolphins. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.